Yes, sir. Let me see. I think we are live right now. Let me make sure. Yeah, we are. Hold up, Rue. Let me take this thing off. Hopefully I don't cut. I do. Yes, sir. Let me say. I didn't cut you off. Hold up. Got it. I don't think I cut us off yet. Cool. We're live right now, my man. But hold up. Let me drop the links on my Facebook so I can let everybody know. Let me go directly to this YouTube channel with my old school ass. Boom, boom, boom. I'm just gonna post it on feed. And you definitely can see the link on my YouTube channel. Let me see. Yeah. Let me open it up now. If anybody is there already, well, if they come in, they come in. It is what it is. Now, dang. Hello. There we go. All right, folks. The real Nordic Black family. We got Jay Bundy in the building, aka pocketlocker86. At least that's what he goes by on his YouTube channel.
Yes, that's it, man. pocketlocker86. Come hit us up.
Right. And for everybody, I got my Kunta Kinte hoodie on. You feel
all
me?
Right, then. All right.
Oh, man. First time.
Ain't messing around.
you know what I mean? Got to keep it. Got the hoodie on. I'm inside, so I'm at the. But yeah. And then I see you got the Spartan. So you must be out there, or you went to school in Michigan.
I went to school there. Yeah, that's where I graduated, and
that's
I was teaching. I taught at Michigan State last year, and yeah, so it's a rough week for the Spartan family. Spartan strong, man. We out here, and yeah, man, it's that community's hurting this week, and I actually live in Lansing now, so it's been a rough week. I don't think the students will be back to class until Monday. For those that don't know, there was a shooting at Michigan State University.
A mass shooting, right? Another one there in Michigan, right?
Yeah. So it's a rough week around here, but it's everywhere, right? This type of violence is ubiquitous, and it's ironic that, or I guess not ironic, but we talk about these things on my channel because I tend to cover what's going on politically or what's going on in the news, and there was another recent mass shooting that was at a church related to one of the churches I play at. But I started to realize that it affects every sector of society, and it's just a matter of time before, unfortunately, you or someone is touched by this type of gun violence. And the real frustrating thing is you see the writing on the wall, you can almost see it coming. You can see the train headed right for you.
Right.
But we don't seem to have the political will, at least not in America, to really do anything about the gun violence that we're seeing. You're in Norway. Something our audience needs to recognize. We tend to see a brother and assume he's from Atlanta.
Right.
but what's it like in North? What's the gun culture like out there, man?
Oh, yeah. At first I was about to say it's cold, but yeah. The gun culture, man, out here in Norway, definitely they have a lot more gun control out here. Absolutely. So it's not it's not even close, man. It ain't even close. I mean, there's so much gun violence in America, more than most places
anywhere. Yeah.
So it's not even close. But every now and then you'll get, it's in some ways it's been rising a bit, and for many different reasons and factors.
Sure.
But when they do smuggle in guns, it's usually from like either the Baltics countries or somewhere out there in Eastern Europe, and they kind of sneak through the borders, and for the most part, every now and then you'll get some hunter,
Right.
going crazy with a these old school crimes with a crossbow or you know, or something like that. But for the
Right.
most part, you get these, yeah. But it's not the regulation when it comes to the gun control here is it's pretty good. You
A
don't have
question
to,
I have
yeah,
about that quickly is just is there a difference in sort of the love of guns? Like the example I would say in America, right, is
right,
we hide the titty mags. You
mm-hmm.
got to go to an adult store or something like that. And even the ones that you could sell in public, they put them like behind everything so that you got to go
Right,
reaching for it.
right,
But
right,
the
right,
gun magazine is in the front, like
right,
at the
right,
grocery store,
right,
almost like so there's almost a way in which the gun magazines are the porn for everybody. Like it's literally
right.
like it's easier to see
Uh, uh,
guns and ammo growing it up than it is to see Playboy.
Absolutely,
Do
and
y'all
then
have a difference there, or do y'all still have guns and ammo in the front row of
oh
the
hell no, man, no, 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 no. You don't see that shit at all.
really?
Basically, nah, yeah, I know what you mean because like you said, I'm
Sure,
American,
yeah.
living in Norway. But yeah, you'll see in the commercials and stuff like that too, with the alcohol, beer, and you don't even see that too. Far as alcohol,
Really?
yeah, yeah, far as alcohol and beer and
Like I don't advertise it on TV crazy
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
it's not. Yeah, yeah, it's nothing near like it is in the States. And you don't. I mean, you'll have advertisement, but not for like for beer. And I think there's like a law or something behind that.
Really?
And so they yeah, they
It's
don't do
crazy. We treat it like we gonna
right,
forget. We
right,
we treat it like people will forget alcohol exists if we
right.
don't advertise it every 5 minutes.
And
Like
and
if
the,
you haven't seen a beer commercial in 10 minutes, you're gonna forget how to get drunk.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then, over here in Norway, they have it's like they call it Vin Monopoly, and it's like wine monopoly. So the government
okay.
controls the alcohol here, and so
Wow.
yeah, it's government controlled. You know what I'm saying? And you only get it very strict about it out here. Um,
Very interesting.
and that's not to say that they don't have a bunch of alcoholics and drunks, what I'm saying,
Sure.
out here. But I'm saying, but they do have a quite a tight control out here when it comes to that. So you don't, yeah, it's totally different, this democratic socialistic country out here. And it's the first time I've ever had somebody on here that I'm interviewing flipped it on me and interviewing me. Now usually they say it's the other way around. I end up uh I'm on somebody else's show. They interview me and they say that they claim that I flip it on them. It's the first time somebody's flipping it on me right now.
Nah, man, we're just curious. We're just curious, man.
But
Appreciate you.
and then to your audience and to everybody else who doesn't know, um, well, first off, I seen somebody, Mojo in the building in the chat. I guess earlier they must have they must be in the Netherlands or something like that, because they said they they made a comment, then they retracted it. But anyhow, they said hi all, hey Mojo, what's up? Anybody else watching can definitely ask a question in the live chat. And probably most of them will probably see this after this interview, possibly. But to all of you that don't know, yes, I'm African American that's living in Norway, also Norway now. Um, I've been in Norway since 2012 and stuff like that. But this interview right now is about my man Jay Bundy. And Jay, are you out? Where are you out of? Where are you now?
Yeah, so that's a
You
good
in
question. I'm
Michigan?
in the I'm
Yeah.
in the States. Originally, I'm really from Pennsylvania. I was born in New Jersey. I moved to Pennsylvania when I was about 6, 7-ish, probably 7. And I was there, in Pennsylvania pretty much from, second grade through college or whatever. So I lived in Pennsylvania pretty much until I moved out to Michigan State. And then, I did so I went to high school in Northeastern Pennsylvania, a little Catholic school. I was actually the only Black kid in my whole school,
Mm, mm.
which also happened to me at, a couple of schools I was at before that, because in that area, if you went to like a private school. They were just all white pretty much.
Mm.
And then I went to Penn State for my undergrad. I'm bipolar, so
I
I had
know
to
a
take some time off. I
I
lived in
know
Jersey.
I know a
Yeah.
brother from Oklahoma who I interviewed actually, and he's out there in Pennsylvania. He's a professor from jail to professorship. He's out
Yeah,
there, and he
man.
deals with linguistics in the African American vernacular. Matter of fact,
Yeah, that's incredible, actually.
he's very interesting. He
Yeah,
was all
because our vernacular gets a bad rap. People treat it like it's broken English instead of
yeah.
advanced English, right?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
even got tapped for some contribution in the Oxford Dictionary. They tapped him and some other people to give their input on the new revision of the Oxford Dictionary. That's crazy. And he's from Oklahoma. I ran into him on a Facebook group in
Oh, that's cool.
linguistics. But go ahead, my man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I went to Penn State for my bachelor's, which is in social dynamics. I made up my own major. I went on a full. I'm really lucky as a student, so I went on a full
Mm,
scholarship, and I was also in a program. I was able to make my own major,
right.
so I did that. And because I wanted to study sort of social dynamics, like sort of the unwritten rules of human behavior.
Right.
I
Right.
was seeing people as like people are rather systematic, in certain ways people are predictable, but I didn't really understand what makes for systematic behavior. Like, how do you understand
Right. Mm,
I really just wanted to understand people, like really like human studies or something like that.
right.
But social dynamics is the lingo we were using at the time, and you still hear people say, so that's what I got my bachelor's in,
Okay.
and then I did a master's in biological anthropology, studying the evolution of human sexuality. So at that point, I was like working in the lab,
Right.
teaching, working on my research, and
Right.
then I came out to Michigan State University to do my PhD, and so I got a dual PhD at Michigan State in integrative biology and ecology, evolutionary biology, and behavior. Basically, and I'm an experimental evolutionary biologist. And yeah, I graduated from the lab of Rich Lenski. He runs a famous long-term evolution experiment.
Mm.
And then I went to the University of Minnesota, and currently that's where I'm at. I'm a postdoc at the University of Minnesota. Go
All right.
Gophers!
All right.
Yeah.
Yo, while you were talking, there was a question in the live chat. I'm gonna let you handle that.
Why are
Uh,
people still categorizing people into colors? Yeah. Um,
uh,
it's an easy thing to do,
right,
And I know
right.
in America, right? Like, I hate to say it, but it's like very race kind of permeates everything. If
Absolutely.
you get caught off, if you get cut off,
Here too.
yeah, if you get cut off
It's a
in
global
traffic,
thing. It's a global thing.
yeah.
White supremacy and racism is real. It's global.
So I was taught something in college that's basically like,
Yeah.
you should question if something is a problem racially if race has nothing to do with the situation. So like here, if somebody cuts you off on your way to work,
Mm.
you're not gonna say, "Oh man, I was rushing through traffic and somebody cut me off. It was really annoying." You're gonna be like, "This goddamn Asian lady cut me
Right.
off." And like, we're
Very
always
descriptive.
mentioning, "Oh, I
Yeah.
just met this dope ass white guy last night. Oh, I met this
Right.
brother on the train this morning." Like, literally every
How,
conversation we have with the
thank you.
conversation, like, you have
Thank
to identify the
and
racial
and Nate,
label, else you haven't given us enough information.
they ask me especially a lot out here overseas, you know what I'm saying, when I'm over here, when I describe and I yeah, describe people into, and like you said, culturally or into color, they say, why you guys over there so racial and things like that. And like you said, a lot of, that's kind of how it is over there, man. I mean, we
Yeah, yeah,
it's part of it.
absolutely.
And just like they find the census, when they ask, the color, race, and those, they find that
Right.
ridiculous. There's so many things that people always point to in America
I
about.
think it's something deeply in us too
Right.
about, tribalism, right? Because if it wasn't race makes it kind of obvious. It's an obvious color, right? You can't
Right.
not see the color of someone's skin.
Right.
But if we were all the same color, it would be, what tribe are you from? You know, what group do you identify with? Matter of fact, in a lot of hoods where most people are colored or of a similar race, it goes then to which tribe are you in, and then they start to represent that with colors, right? So it's the red gang versus the blue gang versus the purple gang. So I think race kind of allows us to do that without even having to put on a jersey.
Right. Yeah, and speaking of that, so you now, for all that's tuning in now and they seeing this brother, look, I promise you he ain't the January 6th insurrectionist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's his is that your real hair? That was the first thing. Is that your real?
Oh, you're not supposed to ask people that.
Oh, I'm not supposed to ask if that's your real hair? All right.
Yeah, it's part of show business,
Okay.
just,
Okay.
just...
Oh yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
man.
He said I'm getting too comfortable. I don't need to ask him that. That's what's up. We ain't gonna go there. We ain't gonna go there. But my point is, y'all, whoever's looking in right now, whoever's watching this interview later, whatever, don't be fooled by what you may think his appearance is. My man don't you have 2 PhDs?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Two
Yeah, dual
PhDs
PhD.
a dual PhD in what disciplines or what?
Ecology, evolutionary biology and behavior, and then integrative biology. But basically, I'm an evolutionary biologist. It's weird. The way it kind of worked is, you have a department. In my case, my department was integrative
Bring it down
biology.
for some of us brothers that ain't used to all those big words and stuff.
Yeah, I was in the integrative biology department, which used to be zoology. You may have heard of zoology, but not a lot of people are training to be zoologists anymore. So they changed the name to integrative biology. And then a lot of science is getting very interdisciplinary, and especially in like the sort of biological sciences, a lot of things are related to ecology and evolution. And so they set up these dual PhD programs. That way, grad students from across a lot of different programs can all tap into the ecology and evolution program. So you kind of have a home department. So that's, for me, that was integrative biology. So you get your PhD in that, and then you're in this dual PhD program so that they can, so that you get this other piece of your training along with. So in that program is other people from different programs. So that's why you end up with a dual PhD. They're trying to say you've got a home department, but you're also specialized in this program over here.
Right. Still impressive.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
And that brings to how I ran across you on one of the videos.
Yeah. How'd you find my channel?
And I'm still trying to think exactly. I believe it was from History Valley's YouTube channel, possibly. Was it? No, not History. Excuse me, not History Valley. Gnostic Informant.
Oh, okay. Gnostic Informant. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I believe.
Neil.
Right. I
Shout
believe
out
it
to
was
Neil, man.
Right. And I believe it was his YouTube channel. I believe so. Or Sick Gibbon. No, it was
Gibbon.
No, it was his, because then I end up
watching the Sick Gibbon thing.
Yeah, the video.
Got you.
And that scenario there is when I came across you, and I couldn't stop laughing, and I was like, oh shit, this brother right here is kind of impressive.
Yeah, we try to have some fun, man. We try to have some fun with it.
Right. And to get some of that context out, what was happening at that moment? So I saw a video of you. Were you either you were debating? You weren't debating, were you? Or you were kind of...
I called into a creationist late night show. Yeah, I called into LPP.
It wasn't Hovind. It wasn't Hovind. Kent Hovind.
No, I did a debate with Kent Hovind, but this was before that, right? This was the logically possibly plausible. His name's I think John or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I John Maddox or something, and so I called into his channel, and there were kind of like three creationists yelling at me. Yeah, they were really the stars of the show, because they were just saying the wild stuff. Boy, they be saying some wild stuff out here.
Right. And that was the thing, because I'm gonna let you give the context about it. But that's the thing, because they were supposedly be the stars of the show, or whatever, and then they were talking about creationism versus evolution, right? Something
Right,
like that.
right.
And then
Yeah.
they were trying to give an example of a study.
Yeah, the
Um,
Lenski lab from the
the
lab I
lens,
worked in. Yeah, that was the lab I
right,
graduated from. Yeah,
right,
they were talking about research from the lab I graduated
right.
and then
And I was
telling
like,
me,
I was like,
oh,
I
he
just
doesn't understand his own research.
right,
And I was
because
like, great.
and from the outside looking in, when I clicked on the video, and I was like, damn, they got this brother looking and then looking how I was like, man, look at this brother. How he looking right now? Poor brother. They about to. I was like, damn, they about to eat this dude up. And then when I heard you, when you made your comeback, when you started talking, I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, you know,
Appreciate it.
so
Appreciate it.
so yeah, so they were trying to use that as an example for their case or whatever, right? And
Right,
and, and I'm
right.
gonna let you give the rest of the context.
Yeah, they were just
Uh,
they were just they were talking about a study that came out of our lab, and they were
which they
at
had no clue. They had no clue about.
yeah, they
I
didn't realize I
believe
worked in the
they
lab.
worked in
Yeah.
the lab,
And then
right? And
and
they
then
were,
also
yeah,
yeah, and they were also citing a different study. So the lab is
right.
famous for the long-term evolution experiment.
They
And
were misleading basically,
yes, and they were
right?
actually trying to cite a result from like a side study, like basically somebody's side project,
Right.
as making a point about the main experiment. So they weren't even really talking about the
Mm,
experiment that they thought
mm,
they were talking about.
right.
But then in the process, they were basically trying to say I didn't understand the research that was going on in the lab I just graduated from. So it
Right.
was but that's kind of the issue with that whole deal is
Mm,
people are so deeply committed to spreading these lies and this stuff that's
mm,
blatantly not true, that they, even when they're clearly up against it, they can't just say, all right, maybe I was mistaken, or maybe I don't know, or maybe I need to look further
absolutely.
into this. They just have to double down on, well, you don't know your stuff, you can't
Mm,
read you. And so it that kind of made that really obvious, and I think that's why she thought it was worth the commentary. But it happens every day out here. It happens every day.
right, 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 right. And that's another Gutsick Gibbon is
That's a given, man. Gotta check
right.
her out.
Her YouTube channel, and that's I ran across him as well. Um, what was the question I was getting to? So Kent Hovind, I didn't realize you debated Kent Hovind
Yes.
online. I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah, that was on
I mean,
Shannon
now I
Critique
knew
channel
about it after I kind of,
afterwards. Yeah, yeah.
afterwards in a way. But then yeah. Then could you tell me about that? How that went
Yeah.
down? Or
Really, it's weird because I didn't have any interest really in debating them. I hadn't
right,
even really decided, because I don't do a lot of debates. So it's not something that
got
I
you.
get into a lot.
Right,
But you kind of, there's channels you hate watch, right?
right,
And so I kind of I once in a while I would watch Standing for Truth, which is Donnie's channel.
mm,
I didn't, it's weird because I could honestly, sometimes I can't watch those streams for more than 5 or 10 minutes,
okay,
right? Because they'll
right,
be talking about some weirdo biochemistry that I just
right.
don't care. But he happened to be doing one of Kent Hovind's debates, and Kent Hovind was debating someone
It's
who I
crazy because
believe
Ken
to be,
Hovind. How old is Ken Hovind? About he's like in his
yeah,
60s.
things in the 70s, yeah,
Yeah, because I remember watching some of his videos way back in the day.
way back in the day.
Way back, and when I didn't have any knowledge of it, I thought he sounds kind of convincing, but then later realized he was just nothing but rubbish. But anyway, and
Yeah,
that's crazy
yeah,
how, that's
yeah.
why I was so
He's still doing it.
still
Yeah,
trying to do it.
but yeah,
Eh,
he basically, I don't want to say he misgendered the person, but he kept
mm,
asking the person to clarify their gender pronouns. And he
wow.
was like, I don't know what to call you. I haven't known what to call you. And it was very rude. And it, like, I remember, made
Now
me
we're talking about
really,
Ken. We're talking about Ken Hovind. We ain't talking about Robert Price shit. No.
no, we're talking about Ken Hovind. This is
All
Ken
right,
Hovind. Yeah,
all
yeah. Yeah,
right.
it was, nah, yeah, it was weird. So Donnie eventually was doing a stream, and he had basically said he didn't know who Kent's,
Okay.
300th debate was going to be. He hadn't yet like picked the person. So I sent him a
Wow.
super chat and just threw my name in the ring, like, I'll
Wow. Let's
debate him. Because
do
at
it.
that point I was
That's what's
mad. I
up.
was like, I
That's what's
was
up.
kind of in my feels about it.
I'll be on that
That's
too
how I got set
sometimes.
up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did it go?
Yeah.
How did it end up going? You I didn't see. I didn't watch
I
it.
think it went about as
Paired
well
up
as it
pretty
could
well.
go. I think a
Okay.
lot of people wanted me to be. I wasn't very aggressive with them, but I
Gotcha.
made my point in the beginning. Like I decided that
Okay.
there's not a lot to say, right? So
Right.
the topic was evolution on trial, and I spoke directly to the case histories of when evolution has been on trial, and I tried to make a very clear case of that teaching creationism has been deemed unconstitutional, and exactly why it was deemed unconstitutional, because it violates the separation of church and state. And then also the fact that even the courts had determined that it's unscientific, right? You can't use it to make testable predictions. It's not about the natural world. It's a supernatural hypothesis. So it's not science. And then I asked Kent for a scientific alternative. Like, if you want to reject evolution, fine, just give me a scientific alternative and then give me evidence for it, right? And he never responded to that. Instead, he just did the typical Kent Hovind shtick. Like he picks one of 4 scripts to go off of and kind of goes there. So, you know, we kind of just had a back and forth from there, because I knew he was just gonna stick to his script, right?
His script,
and
like always.
it's not even worth getting into because everybody's already heard it.
I remember somehow people don't count because of the flood and certain things like ice. The layers.
Right. He doesn't buy into the layers and the ice cores
and all that stuff. He's always going to the same old points that I hear.
Which shows you there's no point in even having the conversation with him, because he actually does know the evidence. It's been taught to him over and over and over again. So a lot of atheists were actually frustrated with it, but for me, that's fine. Like, think of it. I almost think of it as like a football game or like a military conflict or something where you're trying to get territory. If a person lets you do your offensive, right? They let you say everything you want to say, and then when they have the floor, they don't say anything new. Well, then they haven't really used this as an opportunity to like gain any ground. So for me, people got to hear what I had to say. And then rather than Kent even giving me anything to work with, he just wasted his time saying a bunch of stuff people had already heard him say probably dozens of times. And then the other thing is, people were mad because I wasn't very aggressive with them. But it's a couple things people need to remember, especially if you go look at the debate now, because you might not catch it in context. One, you're in somebody else's house, right? Like, the channel's, it's not on my channel. It wasn't even really on Kent's channel. It was Donnie, Standing for Truth channel, that's hosting it, right? So Donnie has specifically requested, like, I don't want this to turn into a dumpster fire. Right. Now, I don't talk to a lot of people about that. Like, unless you're part of my crew, you probably don't even realize that. But I take that type of thing seriously. I might disagree with you. We might not be on the same team. But if you tell me, yo, Jay, when you come on my stream today, I want shit to be crazy, bro. I'm trying to wild out and have a really good time. I'm gonna be like, yo, my man wants to wild out and have a really good time. I'm gonna try to bring him that energy, right? But if you tell me, bro, I want this to be really respectful. I want this to be a nice time, and I really, really, really don't want this to turn into a dumpster fire, bro, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure this don't turn into a dumpster fire on my account, right? Just being respectful. So sometimes when people go back and you're like, Jay, why didn't you smash him? I was asked not to. I was literally asked not to, so I didn't. The other thing is, like, it was his 300th debate, and Kent Hovind claims to have won all 300 of them. Now, the truth is, everybody that knows him knows he's lost every single one of them. But he's going to say he won mine just like all of those. So why try to beat him over the head? I won. I'm really the winner. No, Kent Hovind, admit that I finally defeated you. I was like, nah, I can't. You beat me. Great job. You're the man. It's just, it's the man's 300th debate. He just turned 70 or whatever it is. Like, I'm not trying to rip his heart out of his chest right here in front of the whole world. And then the other thing was, he had literally just had I think a stroke that week. He had like a stroke on air, right? Like literally a couple days before. So yeah, I thought he might cancel it. I literally thought he might cancel it. But he didn't. He had gone to the hospital. He had received treatment, and he was kind of all right. So look, we had a nice little pleasant back and forth before we started the debate. We went into the thing, and then I just tried to make it a decent and entertaining night for everybody. But if people go back and watch it, you know, hopefully that some of that will bring some context to the situation, right?
For sure. Now, when did you start to get on the radar of the quote unquote so-called mainstream online community?
Man, I don't know. I honestly still feel like I'm not. I still feel like I'm not. I still feel like we're kind of off the beaten path, but
yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, they do know you because you were mentioned when I was talking to some other Afro atheists out of UK.
Yeah. My name's starting to get out there a little bit in the community.
And Phil G, big up Phil G.
Honestly, it was I think Gutsick Gibbon helped a lot, right? Because you know, it's thousands of people watching.
Okay, so
videos.
So before Gnostic Informant, I guess, knew about you, probably Gutsick Gibbon then.
It would be the Gutsick Gibbon thing, and then also Derek Lambert, you know, from Myth Vision podcast. Yeah, that's so. You know, once Derek kind of.
But was it really, Derek? Was it Derek before Gutsick though, or was it Gutsick first?
So believe it or not, I've been on. I called into Derek's channel when I was in school just as a fan, like really before I started making content. Okay. But no, the Gutsick Gibbon thing happened before I did anything with Derek. But I've been a fan of Derek for a long time. So him and I kind of, you know, like I'm a mod in his channel. So, you know, he's always been receptive. And I popped on his panel one time after I graduated, and like Kip Davis and Josh Bowen and all them were kind of congratulating me. But he didn't really know, know anything about me. But I think after the Gutsick Gibbon thing, he was like, yo, let's put something together or whatever.
I remember Josh Bowman because he was in the Air Force like I was. I was there. I served in the Air Force 6.5 years myself, and I believe Josh Bowman was in the Air Force before.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I believe so. If I'm
correctly. Remember correctly, yeah.
So certain people I have certain associations with because of that right there. But definitely Myth Vision. And it's funny because I didn't really get into Myth Vision until I believe Dagger Squad Garfield from the so-called conscious community, the Jamaican guy out of New York. When he either interviewed Derek a while ago, or Derek kind of went on his channel in a panel or something like that, and then I went over to Myth Vision, and then that opened up a whole nother kind of world there. And that leads me to the Robert Price.
Yeah, the Robert Price thing, yeah.
Right. And to all that don't know, Robert Price is he's a pretty
mythicist scholar, I guess we'd say.
Right. Pretty well known in that world, I guess. He's used a lot. He's been around for a while. And what I always tell people is so funny is the first podcast he was on was a black person's podcast.
Really?
Yeah. He actually says it. Go to his YouTube channel. He says it himself.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
I know.
I did not know that, bro. You're schooling me.
But this is what I'm saying. See, I'm not that little channel that folks don't realize. You start doing that research. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. It's I'm gonna get my boy's name right. Now I interviewed the guy on live. I interviewed him live, and I always get his dang name.
Yeah. Let us know. Take your time. I'd be interested to check him out.
And maybe he's on your Facebook, or you linked to him and you just didn't realize it. Let me go, because I know he probably listens to some of my interviews when I mention his name, and I screw his name up every damn time. Let me see. Dang. Actually, why am I doing that? All I have to do is click on my damn YouTube channel and go to my live videos, since I interviewed the guy. Because I wanted to add one more thing with this guy. He his name is Reginald Finley, the infidel guy. He used to call himself the infidel guy. That was way back then when way back then when they had Black Planet and all that. He's been doing this thing.
I don't know who he is, but you've had a bunch of people on this channel, man.
Yeah, man. Click that. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. Don't get it twisted. like the skept, like I trying to be humble, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the skeptics Bible. If you listen to him, I'm the first one that put him where his face, where you can see him, video, interviewing.
Wow.
Steve Wells for the Skeptics Bible, a lot of atheists use. He had he is very few interviews he had, and very few, and the ones he had was only like audio. I think only Seth Green, I believe is
Yeah.
he
Man, that's
interviewed.
old school. Actually, you know what? It's coming back. It's a lot of people now that do channels and they're never on camera. You know, they
There you
just have
go. There you
the
go.
icon or the picture or whatever.
There you go. So there's one space that a lot of people's not. So yeah, I got him on video. But anyway, when you go down to the live, the infidel guy, Reginald Finley, he like I said, way back then when they had Black Planet and all this, you know, well before this these Facebooks and all these, he had interviewed he had a podcast going on called The Infidel Guy. And you should listen to. He's one of the earliest, one of the first doing this thing. This is when Derek from Myth Vision was probably in elementary school, if he was born yet. No, I'm just saying, he was elementary school or something like that. Real talk. And when you click on Robert Price's YouTube, go to his videos, go to the earliest one. He says it that his first podcast is with Reginald Finley, the infidel guy, and that's the black guy. So that's why it's kind of ironic what's going on now.
Yeah.
You feel me? A lot of people didn't know that. I had to let a few people that's now getting a little fame in the atheist space. You know, I had to teach them some of those facts. And there's some other things I could say right now, but maybe another time that I can break down.
Sure. Appreciate
some people acting you know.
Yeah, man, hit me with it. Where are you at on the whole thing? Like, how did you see all this play out? And I'm happy to answer anything.
Right. Yeah. So I'll allow you to give the context later, but quickly with me. I didn't know. I knew there was something that happened. I didn't know if it was something racial, but then I'm starting to learn there was something about transgender that was said.
Yeah, as well.
Okay, as well.
Yeah,
so I didn't know that part. I thought I just heard it was something that was dealt with racism or whatever, and I kind of heard something was going on through
this happens a lot in our community, right? It's something going on, you catch like the second or third stream, and it's hard to even retrace what originally even happened.
Right.
If there's source material, because it could have been something that happened offline or whatever.
Right. And when I first heard about it was through Derek, through Myth Vision or whatever. Yeah. And then they kind of just suddenly broke away, and then I was like, and then of course I heard him talking with Gnostic Informant and something racial. So I knew it was something. It was mainly they were talking about.
So did you see his? So you remember months ago, I guess maybe when Derek was making videos about not dealing with doctor. Okay, got you.
Yeah, for sure. Now this is when you say months ago, at least about half a year. I mean,
it was like 8 months or so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that brings it to me because I'm on the outside looking in. I'm already before Robert Price. Before this thing, I've always noticed certain things anyway, to be honest with you, in these so-called mainstream online community spaces. I noticed certain things anyway. So when this came, I thought, this is interesting right here. Very interesting. And when which I gave some praise to how Derek Myth Vision handled it. But then later, as I thawed in certain things, suddenly it seemed like one person out of the little camp broke rank from History Valley. The one that I thought he was paraplegic the way he comes off in the videos, but maybe he's not. My man from History Valley, he broke camp, and my man just like I don't know how many months later, he just said it was almost like he said, "Fuck it." He got Robert Price. He threw him in there. It's almost like he was like, "Shit. How am I gonna take advantage of this shit? Damn, they stopped interviewing him and shit." All right, cool. But damn, if I'm the first one bringing them in, you know what I mean? It's like, and for viewership or whatever, I don't know. Suddenly.
Who did you see do this?
What guy was this? I think History Valley.
Valley. You seen?
Oh yeah, they link together. Not just Gnostic Informant. There's History Valley. There's another. There's several of these.
Because I only saw him pop up on Neil's, but you saying there was somebody he popped up somewhere else?
Oh no, he popped up before Gnostic Informant. It was a guy named History Valley who they used to bounce around too.
Okay.
There's another one out.
Another link. It's another link.
There's another one out there that they used to simultaneously have people on there, and they all know each other for sure.
Right.
But I noticed the trend. See, I'm like, I'm all over the place. So I'm saying, History Valley, he started putting them on there. And then I was like, oh shit, I wonder how they gonna respond. And lo and behold, on code. So lo and behold, I knew it. So then the next one, I was like, so Nazi Informant. Then he started throwing a little bit of teasers dealing with him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day, remember that one day when Derek, it was almost like Derek was like, shit, I ain't gonna let them. So one day he just threw some old thing with Robert Price video on there.
Oh,
I don't think that's happenstance. See, I'm gonna invest. They don't. That's okay. See, this is why they don't put a person like me. And like I said, they put certain people.
Sure.
Like the Potlockers, the Cynthia McDonald. What's her name? I was supposed to interview her tonight, and I know she's listening, and I'm gonna say it. Cynthia McDonald's, the Phil G's, the Afro Atheists, and other folks. That's why they know. And he's on my Facebook, by the way, Derek.
Sure.
So he's seen all the anti-racist shit that I put. Now he can act like he don't know me and act like he don't see me. But I beg to differ, because there's several other things I can mention too. Because there were certain other people that I had interviewed way before they did. But anyway, we won't get into that. But as far as the Robert Price thing, I noticed the History Valley, so he suddenly just popped them up again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then Gnostic Informant started I know they noticed it, and then they started teasing in there. And then one day, Derek Van Campen just threw him in and then kind of pulled it out. And then I'm like, then I saw you.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on, let's throw him and then the other guy. We're gonna give him we're gonna clean him up, like this cleaning tour to throw him out to make it okay to throw him back in there. Because they want him in there, or he probably enlisted help too. You know what I'm saying? So he because at first he's acting all Billy Badass and shit. Like, I don't need y'all. You remember? He was acting like, I don't need y'all. Y'all ain't make me. I made y'all. Remember that? Come on now. Let's keep it a buck. See, I keep it real over here. On that
Training Day shit.
You know what I mean? And now, now he over here, begging, and now he want to get back on there. And what do? They know how to clean up that image. Because if it was somebody, of another persuasion, another hue that had did anything like that, bruh, you think they would?
Right.
Huh? It's over. It's a wrap. 100%. You know what I mean? And then, but through all this, I'm seeing this. And so as I'm interviewing or I'm talking to people, because there's some up and coming people, I had a conversation. I'm not gonna tell her name, but she's up and coming, came out with fire, man. And we had a little discussion on the side, and she didn't know that as well. What I told you with the Reginald Finley dude, and then other things that she didn't really notice that I pointed out, she didn't realize. But it'd be but it's known, you know what I mean? There's there's some people in the humanist space too that even some big names that'll point out, like Mandisa Thomas. She'll point out racism and certain things that she noticed. And like I said, if I was to break down other things, I don't want to give names. There's a big name that I definitely noticed something very funny, but I'm gonna save that for now.
Sure.
I'm gonna say that for now.
Sure.
Because I know I caught it, but I know nobody did. But I caught it, and I know he knows who I am. Because we come from the same state.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. I'm still learning out here, right? So
for sure. You're doing your thing. It's funny. So I always say, as far as I got no backing, I got no organization, I got no atheist network, none of that stuff. I ain't on the white spaces. In fact, when my name came, the spaces that how my face was on Travel Noir, on black spaces, black media, or people put me out there. You feel me? So I didn't have a white push like you.
Yeah. But that's the communities I'm in. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Cynthia
yeah,
or
yeah,
Afro. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I ain't need all. I wouldn't ask for that, and they wouldn't throw me in there because they know I'll call them out the way I do,
Yeah, I think for a lot of us too, that's where
unapologetically.
we're at. That's where we're at, right? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like when
yeah, yeah,
you're like me, like you're in those spaces, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
that's the
yeah.
part of the interwebs I hang in.
And
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that, and nothing
right,
wrong with
right.
it. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with it, but
Yeah,
sometimes
it's a
I see funny
difference.
business going on. 'Cause for example, I saw one also, and I'm not going to say the name, and this person's going to figure out who I'm talking to. It is what it is, and whenever we talk, we can talk it out, because
Sure.
I'm sure we will live. I know we will at some point. But there was another person that was in those spaces, even deeper than you, and they were on a friend of mine's. Who's black. They were getting interviewed or whatever, and they were all trying to, like, hey everybody, on my channel, this she's see, I gave some away, black, you know on my channel, go to his. I was like, that's cool, no, but I'm like, won't you go to those white networks, those, tell them to go to my man's channel if you're really trying to hype this
Right,
person up. You get what I'm saying? Don't just go to your
right.
little personal black spaces, because we know you're not just there at all. You're way. Don't act like you're
Mm,
throwing him a crumb or doing some, black folks
right.
favors, my brother. I see you over
Yes.
there in the white spaces. Let them know that this person exists too. I see. It's a lot of funny
That's
business I see
interesting. That's
happening around
deep.
here,
That's deep.
and I'm here to clean
That's
it up and
deep.
call it what it
But
is.
look, that's the real life issues. And a lot of people don't understand that that
That's
might
why
be
you
the
say the
case
real
with,
Nordic black. That's why I keep it
yeah,
real. Okay,
that might be like the case with your mayor, right?
mm,
It's powerful politicians
right,
that will advocate for our causes and our people when they're amongst us in our spaces with very limited reach, and then when they're in bigger spaces don't
right.
have anything to say about us. It's something we all actually need to be mindful to make sure we're not we're being part of the solution, not part of the problem. But this is
Mm,
just I'm just saying this is a problem in the culture, right?
mm.
You're not just giving commentary on petty YouTube beefs here. We're talking about
No,
real issues that come up in
real.
communities of color, whether no matter what
I
aspect
got
of
one.
business or life
I
we're
got
talking
one out
about.
here, and
Yeah.
I got one out here. I mean, there was a guy. He was American. I would start talking, call myself the real Nordic black, and I said some hyperboles or whatever
Sure, sure.
out there talking about most unapologetic, out of Norway, speaking that truth to power, blah, blah. And
Sure.
he must have caught up on it. So he felt, this one guy
Some
felt the
kind of
type
way.
some kind of way.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the history, the track record, my man's been out here double as much time as I've been out here. He's been out here about 20 something years. Then he hasn't said anything when it comes to racism until after the white folks okayed it, after that it was popular, again,
Wow,
after
wow.
George Floyd. Then
Right.
suddenly it's
Yeah.
popular, and then he felt but that's a whole nother thing I'm gonna get into. And
Sure, sure.
so like you said, they're not only on the petty YouTube, you think they're in all these other spaces. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And my thing is, always been one to include. If I was in white space, I'll be saying, all of them, y'all go to this, go here. I've known to pay it forward. Like I told you about
Right.
the blog that you didn't know about, Travel Noir, big up Travel Noir. Immediately, and this person can attest to this because I know you're gonna watch it. Immediately after my interview, I was like, hey, I know somebody that is overseas, black, diasporan,
Yes.
and they went to him, interviewed him, and his thing was even more popular than mine
Wow.
by triple times. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's how I do it. But other
Right.
folks
It shouldn't
just
matter. Yeah.
doesn't seem to be on that same time. I notice a lot of
Yeah.
times,
Yeah.
man, and they be trying to be real slick, like, and I catch it, man. It's funny. So
That's nuts. So really,
I
this is a
can't.
great conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
Damn, bro, you got me thinking about a lot of things.
for sure, man.
I don't want to skate on the Robert Price thing though, right? Like I want to
No,
make
no, no, no.
sure.
We ain't gonna skip on that. Go
All
ahead,
right,
man.
all right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would just want to make sure we talk
yeah.
about
And
that.
people are gonna think I'm running my mouth too much on
No, no, no.
on
It's totally
and it
fine.
cause about you, this is interviewing you. But it's just like, I like how we going. Like you said in
Yeah,
the beginning of it, you flipped it and it was about interviewing me. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
having a good time, man.
For
Appreciate you.
sure.
So yeah, the Robert Price thing is very interesting to me because it touches on a lot of things and it's almost like it reflects a lot of my YouTube journey, but it almost feels like it's part of my personal journey. Something I always say, I should say more. I used to say more than I say now. I should say more, but like, I don't see myself necessarily as a content creator who just popped up. Like the reason I started doing this type of, because I always had a Twitch channel, but I was just doing gaming and my own thing. But like,
don't get it twisted. No, don't get it twisted. I realized that you, like I said, you had time to do real life stuff. You know what I'm saying? You got a dual PhD.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? So this little YouTube, you know what I'm saying, stuff is not. I figured that you did gaming, Twitch, and you had other things going on, but you just kind of in this space, you just kind of popped up, you know. But the same thing what I say about people out here when I came to Norway. You know, they had some Norwegians out here. They did makeup tutorials and gamers and stuff like that. But I was the first one. I was like, wow, you know, I was never like that. I was like, if I'm gonna have something to say, if I'm gonna use YouTube, I'm gonna use something to try to make some sort of a difference in the world. But everybody different. So, but now you're using that to do this thing, and you popped up on some of us suddenly, and that's funny because sometimes they get that. I've always noticed you is what you there's another there's a lady, I forget her name, but anyway, like Heathen Queen, and there's she's not she's great, she's not Black, but she had her own space on her own, like TikTok or something like that. So that was
Twitter and stuff.
Twitter and TikTok. So she's not really included in all this. I had a little kind of, you know.
Yeah, she had her own back and forth with Bob Price. She was part of the whole thing. I don't know that whole history either, but I think
but I broke it down to her. She was surprised what I just told you too. So I broke it down to her too. We had a message back.
Okay.
For sure. She's cool. I like Heathen Queen, but so she's not even including this, but she's coming with fire too. But I'm talking about the Black folk. There was several other people. There's this this other lady, fairly young. She's just got popped up there too, and it's like it's funny because some of them you didn't see the build up on their own, like talking about this like religion doing their own thing. You usually you know you have one and they just throw them in there, and you know because like literally like you go to your channel and you see okay the subscribership is kind of low. He should have more than he should, and then so it's like I don't know. It's just I just noticed that the Black ones that they're putting out there from online atheism community, when I look back, it seems like they haven't been on that for so long. They just quickly you know what I mean?
Yeah. I see. Right. So you know what? It's like anything like in life, right? It's where you'll go to a blackface and say, "Oh my God, you're doing wonderful things in education.
Right.
Come over here and talk about what's going on in the Black community right there." And what you're saying is, bro, it's people in this very space that have been doing this
long time
as their main thing for like a long time. So you're asking
Derek
somebody who's happy
that. Look, Derek knows that. Even Derek knows that. And I just made one reference to Robert Price. He knows that.
Right.
That's why he said go on his channel, earliest video, he says Richard what I just say? Richard Finley was the infidel guy was his first podcast. So that tells you he knows that.
Right.
He can tell you, like, Derek, now, Derek, these, you know, for sure. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, so when the whole thing first started for me, it was I didn't really know what was going on until Derek started making stuff about why he was going to keep having Dr. Price on. Right. And I was actually with them on that because I didn't know, right? I'm the outsider perspective. I'm sitting there like, you don't want to get.
Well, the old Black Christians say, "Bless your heart." You didn't know. You bless your heart. I know that. It's funny because I know that too. When I watch some of y'all interact with some of these folks, I know. That's why I sit back and I'm just so interested just to see.
I see it. Yeah, you see it. Like, But I'm just keeping it a buck with where I was at the time, right? I was like, all right, Derek, you're gonna ride with Robert Price. We get it. We're with you. And then it was like we saw him before our eyes transform on that and be like, nah, I can't even do it. And I mean, Derek was breaking down. I mean, it was really emotional for him.
Right. We saw that. Exactly. And I'm yes, we saw that. And then I like I told you, I can go to where I to be so real with you, mom. I don't even want to say it. Yeah, I knew it was gonna be like how long? Okay, how long? Let's be. We're gonna see how long this lasts. Because see, when I deal with anti-racism and stuff, that's my main cup of tea. My main
Right.
cup of tea is not even in this
Religion
space
space.
here.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like I tell everybody, yes, I am an atheist, agnostic, whatever you want to call it. So yes, I am. And I saw you out there, and I do talk about secularism and black free thinkers. You know
Ooh,
what I'm saying?
nice.
And
Nice.
because we have a history of that too. Um,
Right, right.
at the same time, I still believe we're the most spiritual people on the planet and religious people on the planet at the same time. But also, we had, I mean, don't be surprised we have so much diversity because we come from where humanity started and all that. So of course, we
Right.
have the most. And you know that, being in your field. Come on, man. But anyway, damn, I lost my train of thought, my man. But no, oh yeah,
N-
I thought when he was going through that, I figured that I was like, how long? I wonder how long this is gonna last. And it shows hell didn't take long before that you started to see that.
Yeah, so I think he realized. I think he didn't. I think he wasn't paying attention. Now I don't. Now that's the part. That's the hard part that I'll never know. Right.
Mm,
I only know what information I'm given. Right. So
right.
for me, when he really turned around on it and was like, "No, I'm not doing this anymore. People have reached out to me. I'm shutting down the whole Dr. Price thing." I was like, "Cool." Now what happened after that? Because for a lot of us, that was kind of the end of it. It was all right, cool. We realized, all right,
Mm,
Dr. Price is not a good guy and whatever,
mm,
that's it. But
mm,
the big thing that happened was he went on Pine Creek Doug's channel after that, like immediately. Like this is an immediate aftermath. About 8 months ago, Doug made a whole video sitting down with Dr. Price.
mm-hmm.
And that made it so much worse because for people like me, and I think most of the people in the community, we didn't know what Dr. Price said, right? Like, that's why I'm telling you with the Derek thing, it's like, that was all information we had, was Derek was saying, hey, people have
Mm-hmm.
been calling
Mm,
me. I've been hearing that apparently Dr. Price has had, some problematic views. Me and Bob Price have never discussed, I didn't know this. I didn't discuss these things with him. So then I think at first Derek's instinct was, all right, well, I got to hold down my loyalty to my friend,
right.
and I'm not going to shut him down just because people are
Right.
coming at me on this stuff. I'm a first default to sticking with my man's, and then we're going to take it from there. But then I think once people really put him on game, he was like, nah, I got to shut this down. But for the most of us as outsiders, we still don't know what the hell's going on.
Right. I feel you.
We just going from
Right.
we're uncomfortable, but keeping him to
Right.
too
Right.
uncomfortable to keep him.
Right.
And I don't really know what's changed in the interim. But when he
Right.
sat down with Face Doug on Pine Creek, all of a
And
sudden,
at the end of the day, as a brother, if you see a white person react and saying, "Yo, it was bad or racist or something like that," then you like, shit.
it must
You
have been
like,
bad. It must have been
it had to be something.
had to be legit.
It had to be
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, they don't throw each other under the
For them
bus
to,
for that for no
for
reason.
you know what I mean, for them
Yeah.
to break code like that,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they've been riding the whole,
Exactly.
and they've been that's been his
Exactly.
premier
That's been his
scholar,
guy. Yeah,
bro. I was
yeah,
like, bro,
yeah, yeah.
let's
It
find
must
out
have been
what's
something.
cracking.
So
Yeah,
when he sat down with Doug,
mm,
um,
broke it down.
yes, that
Right.
was when
And I didn't hear
it
that.
was
I
a
didn't hear
huge
that on
problem
there.
because they spent a couple hours and Bob Price actually was there articulating. Like Bob Price was trying to do, this is his thing now, apparently. I've realized that apparently he tries to do damage control and only does
Right.
more damage, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so he was on Doug because Doug's a fuckface right winger. And this
Mm,
guy, Doug, you probably not know, he's Pine Creek, but Pine Creek Doug he's a right winger,
okay.
but he's very radicalized with his shit,
Okay.
but he does it for his own entertainment.
Okay. Yeah,
So he's
you
not
definitely
a
know you definitely know a lot more of these white folks online than I do.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
fact.
So he's
Yeah.
so now Rob Price is with he's sitting down with somebody who wants to bring it out of him, right? He's like,
Right.
no, Bob, let's
Gotcha.
get into this.
Right.
So now
Right.
Bob's articulating his positions on all of this, and
Right.
it's just dog shit, right?
Right. Right.
But the bigger thing was all of a sudden, right wingers are coming out of the woodworks in the comment section, in the live chat. And prior to this, I got to admit, my man, I have been in a bit of this atheist bubble, right? Because this is the community I found when I was in grad school. I was just happy to finally find atheists to talk to and get to know.
I see you feel at home, man. I noticed that. I see you feel at home, man. You know, trying to come off like the neon guy, but in the atheist space. I see you. I see you.
And now I'm realizing, holy shit, man. This community, which I actually wanted to even stop calling it at that point.
He didn't build the whole character. He got so comfortable. He built the whole character around him and stuff.
Yeah, and then it's like yes, and then I'm realizing, yo, we have a right-wing problem. And these cats.
That's why I don't get too comfortable around them like that.
These cats bring them out. They're bringing them out. But at this point, I'm literally just a fan. I'm just part of this community. I've literally just started like that week, right? And so in my Discord, some other people of color who had like been out here longer were telling me, they were like, Jay, we knew Robert Price had a problem because a lot of us were watching Robert Price's social media history long before he was on YouTube, because he's an atheist scholar. So people knew of his work. He had been making, a social media presence in this space. And then he'd been saying all these problematic things. So they're like, number one, we already knew who Bob Price was, and we were just, it's a ticking time bomb. We were just waiting for everybody else to start paying attention to him in these other spaces till they figured it out. And then number two, it reveals that this whole atheist movement and all of that is just infested with fucking toxic right-wingers. And bro, I wasn't ready. I wasn't aware. People were coming out in the comments of the stream saying shit like, why can't we use the N-word if all the rappers use it in the music videos? And I'm sitting there like, no.
I'll ask you a question. So, okay. Why did the guy, I don't know him personally, from Gnostic Informant, why did he bring you on that show? When y'all talk,
So
when y'all talk with Robert Price, what you had to do with it?
Yeah, so
don't worry, I'll wait.
Yeah. So to be honest, I don't have anything to do with it, right? But I think
that's what I thought.
Yeah. So
why did it bring you on there?
I like to think if anything, it was because I've spoken about it, and I like to think that they were trying to help me, right? Like so I consider Derek and Neil friends, right? And so I think, they do tend to go out of their way to try to help me, and I appreciate that, right? So, I'm thinking like, Neil and I are the type who, they might just hit me up like, bro, you want to go live about this? You want to do that? So, I think, I appreciate them trying to put me in the mix in that regard.
They let you in the house, right?
Yeah.
and they gave you them extra biscuits.
But what they I'm
messing with you.
But here's what I think they didn't know, right? Is that I'm trained in this, right? I'm new in this space, but I'm not new to this game, right? I was a teaching assistant in the sociology department at Penn State, right? And so I taught a class called the sociology of race, right? And it was my job to facilitate these type of sensitive conversations about race, gender, political issues, social and interpersonal issues. And I trained other people in how to facilitate them and everything. So I had a lot of experience in this. And it's also something I'm passionate about, right?
And I like as you said that, and I didn't know that. And because there's somebody else that I kind of, and I have to admit, the person that I named earlier that is on panels of reparations, and I didn't know that about her. But and the thing was, I wouldn't have known because certain people that I hear are like that, and then I see them around certain other spaces. I'm like, it doesn't connect, sometimes, because I'm like, there's a certain person in, yeah. Anyway, go ahead, man.
So I definitely had that background where I'm like, I can handle this. Like I'm not going to be on some silly YouTuber stuff. Like I know how to handle these type of very sensitive conversations, like for real. And then on top of that, I'm developing a bit of a reputation as, it's not, I don't think people would say it's my main thing because I'm kind of broad in my content, but I do a lot about racism, right? And bigotry.
I think I'm broad. I think I'm kind of broad in my content per se. Far as I think I'm broader on YouTube, but on my Facebook is definitely anti-racist. But I'm also into this evolutionary, all
100%. And so I'm definitely do content, be it calling out right-wing bigotry or whatever, or like the trash pandas, right? The coons, right? The people who are people of color who are enabling racism themselves, right? And then I also like to think of myself as kind of like the hub of a small group of channels and content creators who are, we celebrate our, you know what I mean? So it's me. I have several co-hosts that are Black, my one Black friend, Jen and Truth. And so
now you sound like white people. My one Black friend.
No, that's his name. That's his name.
Oh,
that's actually his name. Yeah.
My one Black friend.
No. Yeah, see, he got me out here, man. See, he made this name because it makes it sound funny and people say it, but no, that's actually that's his name. That's his name. Yeah. All right. But yeah, so I think that's the other thing too, is like people count on Jay to be able to talk about these issues and to, in a sense, represent content creators. And so from my perspective, I agree with you. Like, I think they were part of trying to rehabilitate Bob Price's image, right? But I don't necessarily have a problem with that motivation.
Because the one thing they try to throw you, it's almost like a formula with them too. I'm talking the mainstream online space. You see them always going real hard for slavery in the Bible, don't you? And which is cool, but it'll make you ease up when they're going real hard on that, and then they love the man. I swear it's a formula.
Well, like we go harder on slavery in the Bible than we go on racism we're dealing with right now.
But I'm talking about them
in general, just in general in the space. No, that's right, because it's easier, right? Because the people we're dealing with right now aren't complicit in biblical slavery the same way they might be complicit in racism right now.
Right.
So it's easier for me to have a conversation, especially amongst white folks, about biblical slavery because if I'm liberal, I can grandstand.
I wasn't talking about you. I'm
talking about what I noticed. But
I noticed
it's a sharp point. It's a really astute observation. No, for real. Right. So for me, like, I think, it's, and I don't know where this all started.
Right.
And to some extent, I don't think it matters the most, but there's a certain curiosity to say, did Dr. Price initiate this? Like, did Dr. Price, decide he wants to work his way back in? Did one of these other channels themselves decide for some reason they would like to welcome Bob Price in, maybe because they have some
for me, it's a personal
connection with them outside of the space? Go ahead.
For me, it's a white on white crime. I'm staying out of
it. But go ahead. But once that ball's rolling, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just imagining, because I don't know, but if I'm Derek or if I'm Neil. And that's why it's interesting to see how the ball got started rolling. If Bob initiated it, if a different channel initiated it, if they thought it was time to initiate it for some reason. Right. But once that ball starts rolling, I think it's natural for them to want to find a path to welcome him back, right? Like, to me, it's not. It doesn't make you a bad person to be.
I agree with that.
Be biased with your personal relationships. You're hoping that you could find a way for this guy to get it right.
No doubt about that. But like I said, if it so happened to be somebody else, do you think that would be happening?
That's the question, right? Like, I would like to think, for the most part, I'd like to say yes, right? Like, so for instance, people haven't, this Pine Creek guy I'm thinking about, people haven't cut him out the way they did with Robert Price. But let's say they really, really did. And somehow, because we have some mutual friends, let's say somehow he reaches out to them and he says, man, I've had a real come to atheist Jesus moment or whatever. And, you know, I want to make it right with the community. I want to apologize or whatever. You know, I'm operating from a place where, bro, none of us really wanted to cut you off to begin with. We were all your fans. We were all friends. We were all trying to have you as part of this community. And then if it turns out you're harboring these bigoted ideas, so we had to dip on you. Of course, if you've changed your ways and changed your mind and you're not going to be that way anymore, we'd be ecstatic for you to come back, because not only could we welcome you back into our community and try to heal what was, you know, broken, but on top of that, we now have you as a shining example of the positive transformation we're trying to make. Like, this is proof of concept. Look, somebody this community over. We let them know hard and fast, bro. You touch that stove, you get burnt. Okay, you're cut off now because you done up, right? But you sat in your corner, dealt with the social consequences, realized the errors of your ways, and now you want to work your way back so you could be restored to the critical scholar you once were. And now you could speak directly to the consequences of this type of harmful social behavior. Of course, we all rooting for that. The issue is we didn't get it. And Bob Price ain't ready. Right. Straight so up. Now a lot of us are sitting here. That's what I got from when I heard some of the right. Yeah. But let me keep it real with you, bro. I think it's done. Like, I think Bob did what Bob does. The same way 8 months ago, initially, he got outed. He tried to do damage control on Pine Creek. All he did was make it worse. Whatever he was trying to do now, because for me, when I noticed him coming back up, was I noticed Derek did mention publicly that he's trying to work it out with Bob. They're kind of okay, but at that time, at least he said, I haven't had him back on channel yet, but we're still, I'm in communication with them again.
And I'm gonna let you continue. And with me, some of those people in that space reconfirmed what I already thought about that space, dealing with Robert, how they dealt with this Robert Price thing and other things.
Right. That, like, they're not really with it, right?
Meaning some of them that still interviewed him and still allowed him in that space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They reconfirmed what I've always thought about a lot of folks in that space.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
For me personally. I'm not saying who, which ones.
Right. But that's what I felt too. So matter of fact, what happened was I noticed that Neil did a stream, but that was the first time I noticed somebody doing content with Robert Price 2.0. And Neil's original stream title made it sound like we're gonna deal with this or something. Like, I forget what the original title of the stream was, but it was like, it was kind of like, oh,
some clickbait trying to get people to
we're gonna yeah. And then I tuned into the stream, and they was just talking about the Bible.
Right.
Like, it was all just, oh, let's talk about Mark. Let's ask questions about Marcion's interpretation and all of this type of stuff. And I was like, well, I thought we was about to get in here and get into what happened.
Right.
And I think I left a comment or super chat or something along those lines, because to me, I was probably feeling what you were feeling, like, wait a second. So Bob Price is just back, and we're just going to skip past everything that happened and go right back to Bob Price. Could you please teach us about the New Testament again? And and to be honest, after that, I was like, I'm not even really with this. So after that is when, to me, Neil called me and was like, yo, this is what's going on with Bob. Now, I didn't know what happened between then and there, but I did feel like it was reasonable to call me out, because people knew probably where I stood on that. Like, I had probably not as adamant about it maybe as you or some other people with more history, but I certainly let it be known that, you know, I wasn't with that whole thing, and I thought that was weird. So
Well, my point was, you don't think that Gnostic informant brought you on there because of the fact that you're black?
Yeah, no, 100%,
Okay.
100%. But see,
Okay.
I think here's the thing about it, man.
Yeah. I know y'all buddies. I'm not trying
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah. No,
I
I
was just,
understand. I understand. I understand. It's a problem from a lot of perspectives when you're trying to tokenize people's identity. I need to give this person a way back into this community. Let me
Mm,
get a black face and a trans face
mm,
to like carry that
mm.
social capital and kind of pave their way back in. Right. That's a problem. And I think Neil put himself in a situation, right, where that's gonna be that's how potentially people are gonna see it, right? So for me as a friend, I'm like, whoa, bro. This is one of the things where you feel like an ally.
And it's funny because I was communicating with you right before you about to do it. I said, "This cat's so excited and giggity. He over here. I'll hit you up later. He's so excited for this thing. I'm gonna leave him alone. Let him do his thing." Because I remember you were supposed to because I first started communicating with you through
Oh yeah,
email right
yeah,
before.
yeah, yes. And this whole
Allah,
thing was going on,
I
and I'm
knew it
like,
too, and I knew this
and I'm
cat.
like, man, let me deal with this. You're right, yeah, because
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
was like,
exactly
this
what's
cat.
going
I'm gonna leave him
on.
alone on this one.
Yeah, man.
Let me see what the brother got to say.
I was in the thick of it. Yeah, man. Appreciate
Which
you.
which y- yeah, you didn't go ham, but you did speak your mind and stuff, and you did allow other folks to get their their their
Appreciate
their
that.
their things in. But yeah, but like I said, I admire you. I admire the way of you very articulate and smart brother,
Thanks.
light years ahead of me. Uh, but you yeah, I like the way you handle yourself and handle things in certain
Yeah,
situations.
it wasn't ideal, man. I got to be
Yeah,
honest with you. But a
yeah.
lot of it is like,
And you are an authentic type of guy. That's why you're on my channel right now. But
appreciate it.
you do have certain people that they like you know uh, I'm not even
But look, let me say this. Let me say this, right? Because this is the thing. Like, I think you bring up an excellent point, right? Like, it really is because that's what it's like a hood pass,
mm,
right? Like, it's a white
mm,
boy, none of
mm,
us know him.
mm,
If you come through with him,
mm.
then we gonna be like, all right, let's hear him out, let's give him a chance. If he come through on his own, it's gonna be like, yeah, I
Right,
don't know.
right.
So that's a problem.
Because of you and the other guy too. That's a transgender, right?
Well, Chrissy, yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
she,
she.
yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah,
So yeah. Now here's the flip of that though,
yeah,
and I've called this out,
yeah.
so I felt responsible in that regard as well.
Okay,
I
okay,
always call out how this community has a white boy problem. I actually talk about it all the time. And I mean it on sort of two fronts.
okay.
The first is just demographically. Right? It's not really saying this community is
Now you say
racist
when you
and it's
now when you say
full
this
of
space, you're talking about the online
YouTube,
atheism,
on
or
time
you talking?
atheists.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a demographic thing. It's just the numbers, right?
Right, right,
But
right,
then
right.
the flip side of that is it comes off in the issues we deal with and the aesthetics, right? We have so many philosophical conversations and so many let's critically analyze the Bible, because when your community is dominated by certain people, you're gonna deal with what those certain people like to do,
Right.
right? And then it becomes a problem when you come deal with the social issues, because now you have a bunch of usually cishet white dudes sitting around talking about trans issues, race
Right,
issues,
right.
class issues, and it's a problem. And so part of that solution is we're trying to impress upon our, privileged, friends and family that when at all possible, if you have the opportunity, you have to include Black voices in these conversations. You have to include trans voices in these conversations. And so I'm realizing both things. I'm in literally, even when Neil called me and was like, bro, that's what I'm thinking about doing. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be, I'm like, man, I got you. Because I'm realizing both things in that conversation. I'm realizing on one hand, bro's taking a hella risk right now and saying, I'm about to sit down Robert Price, and I'm literally looking for a Black voice and a trans voice to do it because those are the communities he offended with his comments.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm like, bro, you putting your ass on the line because people are gonna see, Neil, you took it upon yourself to get on your channel to reach out. You had to be the person to reach out and find a Black voice, and you had to be the person to reach out and find a trans voice and sit them down. And so if this thing don't go well, it's going to be a lot of blowback. So again, I'm like, bro, I'm your friend. So as a friend who gets that call, you're like, man, I got you, because if you're gonna really do this shit, then fine, I'll be the Black voice to do this shit. And for me personally, I was excited in a way because it came full circle. When the whole thing first started, and I mean this very seriously, and I hope you could connect the timing now.
Okay.
When Bob Price sat down with Doug, which is pretty much the week all of this started, it was literally my first week making a counter apologetic show with my one Black friend who's my co-host for Hot Program. That's his name. And so literally our very first show was about the Bob Price incident, because that was the week it just started. We were like, holy crap, we got a hot program for you today. But here's the thing, we were nobody.
Right.
And because nobody knew who I was, literally I had emailed Bob Price after I saw him on Pine Creek, because I was furious and I was livid. But at the same time, my one Black friend was like, what if we interviewed him? What if we could talk to him? Because then we could really, really have the conversation.
Go in on him, right.
Go in and have our own time and our own space. So we reached out, but of course he just ignored it because he didn't, he had no idea who it was. Right. So now it's like this whole thing coming back, and you're like calling me like, hey, you want to talk to Bob Price? I don't want to talk to Bob Price now, because now this 8 months in the making for me. Like, finally, he don't know. But bro, I've been waiting to have this conversation.
Just like I'm waiting to have a few conversations with a few of y'all in the so-called mainstream space, and y'all know that, and I'm gonna come correct.
But now I know you, so now I can see who we can sit you down with, man.
Right? Hey, maybe you can, through your word of mouth, you could throw a brother a bone out there. I can. But
look, I'll tell you like this. The one thing I could do is say, I could say to people, I appreciate you trying to be anti-racist.
No doubt.
Why don't you link up with some of these anti-racist voices who have been doing this longer than I have? You know what I mean? That's the least we could do to really push the issue forward. Yeah. But man, so I just want you to see that connection, right? So for me, it wasn't just, we're just gonna get it. It was just really like, man, for me, this is something I really shouldn't turn down. And I really felt like if Bob Price was seriously sorry, then this was going to be a great opportunity for us, man, because now we can make the connection. We can have follow-up conversations. I can invite him on Hot Program and we can really get into it. And if it doesn't go well, then I have the training to hopefully stop it from being a train wreck for Neil, if nothing else, right? And then I want to be totally transparent, 100% transparent.
And when you're done with that, I'm going to add something. I wouldn't be the real Nordic Black if I didn't say,
but I'm going to be
my
totally
real
transparent.
opinion. But go ahead.
Derek, I think Derek from Myth Vision's a wonderful guy. He's been really helpful for me. I'm trying to do some courses with him this semester. Neil has been really supportive of me. I wasn't coming from an unbiased place. I'm literally thinking, man, if Bob is trying to work his way back in and he's truly sorry, I would love to be there to hear and accept his apology. I would love to be like, man, I got to hear Bob Price out and I'm convinced he's sorry. And now when I see Neil and Derek maybe having more stuff with Bob Price or other people making videos, I'm like, man, and I got to speak to him and be part of the process. And this could be fucking great, And then the conversation happened, and to keep it real, Bob just wasn't ready. But go ahead.
I feel you on that. And I agree with a lot of stuff. I just don't like sometimes how they always present Black. They always, when it comes to forgiving, we the most forgiving. You heard that, we're the most forgiving people on the planet. When it comes to the forgiveness stuff, they always will have our face linked in with it when it came to when it comes to that so much all the time. And it was kind of like, that's why when I saw them throw you on there, I was like, because they're the ones who point out the argument in the fight. They know the history of this. And then when it's time to have some forgiveness going around, they throw you in there. And I don't know. I just didn't like the optics sometimes. They always have us, you know, when it comes, like I said, coming to forgiving, they always have us in that space where we're the most forgivingest people on the goddamn planet. I swear to God,
Yeah,
my
I,
dude.
I almost, man, you're making me think of like Tyree Nichols' mother, where
Or the
her child just got murdered, but
or
it
like the
was on
supermarket,
her.
when the dude came in like he was a gamer and shooting people, he had it on video. They just they had that little trial and how they were the victims' mothers and kin were talking to the one young boy that came. It was in New York.
Okay.
And they went. Remember this? He went into the supermarket and was just shooting up people and stuff like that. That was Reese.
But yeah,
Reese
but
and his
tell me
mother.
what happened in the reconciliation. They put
Uh,
the
Well,
victims out
yeah,
there to lead the charge.
yeah. I mean, well, I mean, you always have they always highlight the black people talking about, I forgive you, I pray for you, and
Right, right.
you don't hardly see that when it comes to something on the other the other
Mm,
way around. They always highlight us
right,
forgiving folks the most,
right,
and
right.
it comes from certain things. That's why the Bible and all this is tied to all this, tied to racism and stuff. And I try to connect those dots. That there's reasons why they push religion on us so much. On our
Mm.
community and our people. You know what I'm
There's a
saying?
fear of black retribution, right? It's a fundamental phobia
Right.
of if we acted out
Right.
the way we're treated,
Right.
they feel unsafe
No
because they
doubt.
recognize it's
Right.
almost like because they wouldn't
Keep us
take the
pacified.
treatment with it, right? So you have to
Right.
pacify us because
Right.
if you don't, we've been
Right.
through so much
Right.
that they're really afraid. We'd be in off with their heads mode.
And they know we the most forgivingest people on the planet. Let's be honest. They know we the
Have to
most.
be.
They know we the most forgivingest people on the planet, the most humblest people on the planet. Even though you see us flexing our chest a lot for no reason.
Yeah.
But I always still say we the most humblest people on the
Well, when
planet.
you're
We're the
marginalized, you
most
have to be.
open. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And so you have to be open to others. Whoever's,
Exactly.
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So
You may have hated me
yeah.
yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have to be forgiving because
Right.
I'm gonna need you tomorrow even
Right.
more than I needed you yesterday. So yeah,
Right.
you fucked me over yesterday, but
Right.
it's still so many people out here against us that
Right.
once you're trying to count yourself as an ally, we have to welcome you back
Right.
because we're still in the
Instead of
weak
spilling.
position.
Right. Instead of
Yeah.
spending that energy to come together, like you said, getting with your little group of black people or whatever, doing your thing, or economic cooperative economics, or doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? We tend to mostly beg to be on their platforms, or just be in bed with them,
Mm.
man. I swear to God, man.
Yeah, yeah.
It just it frustrates the shit out of me sometimes.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
This is a thing that comes up even with economics,
yeah.
where
Right,
you could basically track a dollar,
right.
right? Like you could take a dollar and the way it's
How,
spent, and
how
you
it
could
moves
track,
around that community, right?
yes, and yeah, and you could
What
track
they say,
how
6, 7
long,
times. But then in our
yes.
community, you spend
Yes,
it.
right. In the black community,
Huh?
6, 7 times before it's out the community. When in white communities might be 30
Right,
times. And
right,
what it means is like when we get resources, we
hmm,
don't keep it within our community.
right,
We go outside of our community to spend our money,
right.
which is part of the reason we can't keep what limited resources we're able to get. It's also a problem in what we're talking about because we're in such a niche part of the algorithm that it's hard for us to support each other with the type of growth we need. So it's almost like we loved hip hop going. A lot of us didn't love hip hop going mainstream from an
Right,
artistic or cultural perspective,
right,
but we loved it from an economic perspective because it made it $1 billion industry
right.
about, at least ostensibly, about our art. We're in
Mm,
a similar situation here where there's a lot of money and resources and channel or social currency that's happening in this atheist space.
hmm.
We're not getting a part of that. So we need people to say, hey man, what these black atheists are doing is super cool. It's super hot. Let's pump that up.
Right,
But in a way to where we're not reinforcing our dependence on those spaces. So we really have to almost demand them to support us, and then we've got to still support each other. Right? It is a challenge. It is a challenge. Like it's like education. It's like business. We always have to reach up while reaching back, and it's tough, man.
It's tough.
But this is real shit, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, these comments. Can you read the rest of them? Or my bad. Damn,
yeah.
I didn't know some of them, not all. My bad. If there's any questions, I guess that pop up, I guess you can say, "Damn, Mojo, you going all out, huh?"
Let me see.
James Apperson in the building.
Yeah, some of these are UC Love, James Apperson. There's some of my mods coming through.
Cool beans.
Mojo said, "I'm a story writer, and I wouldn't like it if people would criticize my story because of race or color of my characters. I want my freedom in that I am JoJo freelancer KUP for a reason."
Let me say there was a question in there, or there was a statement made by Mojo, I think.
All right. Mojo also said he brought him on maybe because of Pine Creek. He criticized Pine Creek. That's maybe why. So I'm probably Pine Creek's, at least one of Pine Creek's biggest critics. And Pine Creek's a very popular, unfortunately, streamer in that space. And so, me being vocally such a vocal, outspoken critic of Pine Creek, which is something Neil and Derek appreciated me for was bringing more attention to that. So I think
Mojo was the one who mentioned you, which I told him that I'd known about you already. I think when I was interviewing the Caribbean atheist guy Phil G out of Barbados, he was in on that conversation, commented and said, "Hey, have you heard of Pocket Locker?" And I said, yes I have. But anyway,
I appreciate that. Also the interesting thing is, man, we gotta be aware of the realities of the situation we live in. Of course, people should be free to make art and stories and have complete freedom in their characters and how they're portrayed.
You feel me?
But you also want to operate in a way that's culturally sensitive, and sometimes that's the commentary. Sometimes it's people have a certain racial or cultural stereotype in mind, and you're going to push that.
So what's your thoughts on cancel culture then?
Hang on one sec.
And we're gonna end this soon.
I'm almost under. No, I just had to fix one of my speakers. I'm almost under the persuasion that it doesn't happen enough. Like it's a weird thing. I don't really think there's, a lot of times we hear right wingers talk about being canceled while they're on a show in front of millions of people. And so, what does it mean to say that you've been canceled? But I do really think that people just need to get over it. We're living a time of social consequences, and nobody is demanded to watch you. So if you say some up shit and people don't want to work with you, or people don't want to hire you, or I don't want to put you in my movie because I'm spending, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on this movie, I'm planning to get even more in return and make a profit on it. And people aren't going to buy movie tickets to watch you because you keep saying some transphobic nonsense, then that's just business. That's just life. And I think what happens a lot in this internet community is people feel like they got to be entitled to say whatever, and then I have to continue to give a platform for it. I'm not going to do that. So
do you believe that it's distributed?
No, of course it's not. Of course not. Of course not. It just, all of these social platforms just reinforce, the sort of prejudicial systems that are already in place. But like Robert Price is a good instance. Like I think Robert Price deserves the consequences that he's getting. And I think if he doesn't change his ways, it's predictable that he'll continue to see negative consequences as a result of his behavior. And he should, because the consequences he's facing are a direct consequences of flaws in his personal character. And so there should be consequences. I mean, this is basic stuff. And I got to be honest with you, man, because we're talking about racial issues. I feel like that is a lot of the white boy game. Right. The white boy game is what makes me such a noble person is that I will sit down with anyone. And no matter how much we disagree, I'm such a great person because I'll be friends with everybody. Yeah, I've got black friends and I've got friends in the KKK too. And I love all of them. And don't you wish you were more like, and I'm like, no, motherfucker. I want to be friends with people of color and anti-racist and people who don't know where they stand on race or they aren't quite sure, can get the fuck out of my life immediately and right now. You know, and I'm sorry I ever was friends with people like this before I knew who they really were. You understand what I'm saying? And so I don't agree. Like it really, to me, I'm all about canceling people. I'm all about blocking people, shutting them the fuck out, shutting them down, unsubscribing from them, deleting their channels. You know, I'm about all of that shit until you come correct. Now, once you come correct, acknowledge the error of your ways, specifically what you did wrong and how you can do better. You know, then I'm all about creating a pathway back. But until then, I think the problem we're dealing with is that people won't cancel people. And it's like, no matter what these people say or do, you know, you're giving them a second chance. You want to hear them out, and that's what I hope is even coming out of the Bob Price situation is that people sat this fucking man down. They gave him a second chance. People called it out, like, bro, we're not giving him a chance unless he's trying to make it right, and he didn't. He didn't make it right.
What was his thing against the transgender community?
He originally basically
allegedly
implied that he would not be forced to use language he didn't want to use. It was the whole you can't tell me what to say. I'm not going to change my language.
As far as the pronouns or whatever you say.
And he also made misogynistic comments in some of his scholarly work, some of the introductions he made. And then he has a history, I think, of making you know, problematic comments on his social media.
Gotcha.
So you know,
go ahead.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I would be you know, I wouldn't call myself the real Nordic Black. I would be lying to you if I haven't posted anything that came off controversial before. And on Facebook, not so much on YouTube, but on Facebook, I brought up that when, you know, with people when it comes to the transgender community, which is so funny is out of all my anti-racist postings, I get the most controversial my most controversial post when I talk about something with the transgender community, and it was in relations with sports, with transgender community in sports. And you know, I fall on my sword when it comes to this, and I don't engage in that talk anymore, or I don't post much on that anymore. And I got people from all over, transgender politicians and people, and you know, all kinds of people. But when I posted about the transgender community, well, when it comes to transgenders in sports. With women, you know, versus natural born women or whatever. I don't know all the proper terms and pronouns, so I'm gonna tell you that right now. Yeah. So in my view at the time, and still am in a way, it's a bit modified, that, you know, because like I said, that well, you heard about the swimmer, you heard about even the MMA fighter, when the lady and things like that. And so when these issues came about and these topics came about, I've said that you know, I believe, far as women are concerned, it's unfair. Transgender have an unfair advantage, and that was in my opinion, and some of the information that I've was privy to read and understand. I thought it was, you know, kind of some sort of science backing for now, and it's still being, I don't know, written about, talked about, experimented on. I don't know, but when it
Yeah,
comes to transgender in sports, that's the only part where I have an issue, I guess, if it's against, natural born women or cis women or whatever you want to
yeah. I mean,
call it,
to be
that I feel
honest,
that it's an
yeah,
unfair advantage. But that's not to say, and some people take it as, oh, so you don't think they should be in sports. No, I never said they should be in sports at all. I think anybody can participate in sports. Anybody and everybody should, and I just think that they should have more, more levels, or more I don't know, more different type of competitional, yeah, levels. They should break it down in whatever ways, that everybody could, fairly participate in. But
yeah. I think. I
yeah,
mean, unfortunately, I think it's a distraction. And
I've heard
um,
that. I've heard that. Yeah,
and I think we should all try to get more educated on this issue. But as I
for
understand
sure.
it, the
That's
people in the sort of governing bodies of athletics, especially
right.
like in the Olympics, they've really looked into this, and I'm pretty sure that I've changed my mind on this. I used to. There are certainly biological differences, but I really now favor the participation of trans women in women's sports, because
Okay.
I think
And
it's
I
become
and I
it's just
think on one of my live
good.
interviews, you can go down my live interviews. I interviewed I believe he's an evolutionary biologist out of University of Oslo,
Okay.
who's written textbooks and stuff, and he has a different view than you.
Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people
Yeah,
do. But I
yeah.
don't. I don't think. I think the issue, at least as I understand it, and again, it's not my area of
And so the
expertise.
reason why I mentioned that, so folks that
Sure.
are now chiming in and heard me, trust me, I don't just say something out of the blue. There's a reason, and
Right.
folks didn't realize that I did, because after I had that actually, I said, okay, well, let me go to. I'm in Norway. I've got little flack saying that. Who should I go to?
Yeah.
Maybe the guy that talks about
Right.
evolutionary
So yeah,
biologists
we
here.
we have a
Yeah,
transgender athlete in our
yeah,
community, and
right.
other people have done
I'm not against
athletes
them
with
playing
transgender
sports.
people. Yeah.
No,
So
at all.
I wish
Yeah,
Stephanie Helms was here.
no.
Stephanie is here. Yeah. And I don't even know. Stephanie, is there a link you can maybe share with us? And
Yeah,
I'll share it with them, because yeah,
yeah,
I think a lot of us are misinformed about this issue.
yeah, yeah.
And
And like I said, and that's why I call myself the real Nordic Black. I keep it real, man. So I'll tell you
yeah,
my, my mishaps,
yeah,
everything. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
or my misunderstandings or whatever. But
yeah,
I had to add that when it comes to that. But there is a evolutionary biologist that I have interviewed out of here, University of Oslo, and like I said, I believe that he has a different opinion to that, and
yeah.
I interviewed him. He's on my
Well,
live.
look, we've got to. I think at the
Yeah.
end of the day, one, I don't think this isn't even an issue. It bothers me that we even discuss this issue, right? This isn't an
No, I feel you.
issue
I feel
that
you.
I think
I didn't even want to bring it up,
is
to
in
be
my
honest, but I
wheelhouse.
did.
Yeah, I understand. I
Yeah.
understand. It comes up. Oh, and it definitely comes up when we're talking about Robert Price, because
Yeah.
he got himself in so much
Yeah.
controversy talking about the trans issue.
Yeah.
So now this is the Robert Price conversation,
Right.
and
Because I
anytime you
always
have the
accuse other people
yes,
of
and
going around
I
certain
think
subjects, but
what you were
yeah.
trying to say is that you understand why people are adamantly against Dr. Price, but
Right.
that sports issue is the one issue where your opinion may divulge from the left's typical narrative.
One, I didn't. Well, yeah, my opinion in particular, right. And I didn't know about the trans, that he had a problem with the trans community. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know about that. I learned about that when I
I
heard
see.
you and the group
Yeah.
talking about it. I thought it was just this racial thing. But so I learned that like literally today,
Yeah, but
about
yeah,
the
I think the issues are deeply intertwined, and
right,
yeah.
right,
So yeah, but yeah, I strongly recommend looking this up, because I think it's important,
right.
as especially as people
But
of color, that we
my stance is not so strong against the. I mean,
right.
it's not me competing. I mean, I'm my stance is not, but far as what I've was like what I've read and what the information I was given, peer review articles and or what have you, and certain biologists or scientists that I spoke to, you know, like I said, they were adamant on saying that there was unfair advantage still to this day. And I just kind of like, but it's not nothing that I just go out there and just advocate. And it's not a big subject that I talk about at all.
Yeah. So
But
I'll share a link with you.
but
But
but out of
here,
the thousands of posts that I post, I probably only posted two that dealt with transgender and sports. And out of those two, I had the most controversial reactions. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you're going to. So let me share this.
Yeah.
The International Olympic Committee's framework says that no athlete should be precluded from competing
Yeah.
or excluded from the competition on exclusive grounds of an unverified, alleged, or perceived unfair competitive advantage due to their sex variations, physical appearance, and/or transgender status. And so they've
Yeah.
made it pretty clear that there are parameters to really determining if something is unfair and really dangerous to
Mm,
the competition. And the
okay.
problem is, yes, there are biological differences that we can measure, but this has not translated to an actual issue in sports, right? And so,
Okay.
and so, but yeah,
But with that being said, though, I do
right.
believe that there's certain international bodies or whatever in sports that don't probably test them like they should. Like because they had an MMA fight, I forgot how many years ago when they tested it for the first time, like a full combat fight with a woman and a transgender in Brazil, and the woman got pummeled, almost like to her death. You know what I
I don't
mean?
know. There's
Yeah.
examples of cis women beating trans women though, right? So I don't. This is not our issue,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah. No,
gotta get
no, no.
informed on this, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I feel
yeah,
you.
yeah. And I'll share this.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll share this link in the chat with you.
And like I said, it might be my ignorance or whatever, and I'm gonna, read more on this topic. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
man,
it.
definitely
That's
encourage you
it.
to. The only and the main reason is because we are out here, right? So once we
Right,
have these platforms,
right.
we have an influence, and
No
we want to
doubt.
make sure we come correct. Because
For
my
sure.
thing is this,
For
right?
sure.
Like,
That's why I don't speak on it much
yeah,
at
yeah.
all. At all. Yeah.
But I think we should, right? Because
Right.
we got to get informed and then speak on what we get informed about.
Right.
Because
Right. Right. Right.
like
Right. Okay.
you got to
Right.
remember, bro, it's like when Black Lives Matter happens, right? That's everybody, every community rallying together to be like, yo, we have to get behind Black lives because we're
True
being
that.
murdered in the streets, right?
True that. True that.
But that's what's happening to our trans family members right
Right.
now. So
Right. Don't get
we
me. I mean,
gotta
don't
have
get
an
me.
urgency.
No,
Yeah, you know what I
don't get me
mean?
wrong. When there's a lot of people are bigoted towards them, I'm definitely speaking out and stuff like that. It was just this one topic in particular when in relation to sports, I just kind of was on the fence. I didn't really, you know, yeah. I guess I didn't do my due diligence as much, and I'm hearing, I'm getting, people sending me scientific articles and works from this end, and then this other side, this end of the spectrum. So I'm like, okay, I don't know where to land on it. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Yeah, man. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's like I said, we're always out here learning. And that used to
Right.
be a thing I held a different opinion on, and
Right.
I got some more information. I listened to, some of my, trans friends
Right.
and did some more research and I changed my mind. And I'm confident that
Right.
other people will go through the same process. And
Right.
yeah, we all have a starting place and sometimes
And then
the
to
table is
be
set
honest,
based on the conversation.
and also, and I have to be honest too. A lot of times in the black community, when it comes to, that's why black people are getting more specific with their problems now. They're trying to talk. That's why you hear people talking about foundational Black Americans, American descendant of slaves. They don't want to,
Mm,
when they talk to politicians, they want things that are tangibles. They want things specifically for black folks instead of just that minority groups because they feel slighted by um, certain other marginalized communities, whether it's the Hispanic, Latino community, whether it's the LGBTQ, and certain other communities because they feel that sometimes certain resources that were earmarked or was supposed to be for black folks were kind of end up being, you know you have other folks claiming minority and taking some of that piece of the pie, and which yeah, you get what I'm saying. And so we have a tendency to, and I wouldn't be the real Northern Black if I didn't say that. And I do notice certain, and like I said, you want to go back to this space of the atheism space, I do see definitely they're really LGBTQ friendly, which is good. I'm seeing that even more so than I see black faces.
Yeah, that's I think that's a real problem because we need each other's voices, and they kind of turn us against each other, because a lot of times we're instead we're going, well, why are they getting the support right now? Why aren't we getting the attention? You spoke about things that
when have we ever got in this space particularly, when have we really got a heavy attention? Rather than I get some of them are very personal to certain ones that I found out later, you know what I'm saying, which is cool. But you know what I'm saying, like, yes, they push that, and that's cool. And like I've noticed in that atheism online space that they're going heavy for them, which is cool. But I'm like, I didn't even see our run. Like it was like, what the fuck? It's like they're like the Atlanta rapper run. We had New York hip hop, then the West Coast, and then now they went to the South and they forgot the rest of the like they run. So they make it a run. Like
Uncle Bobby making a lot of content. I don't see a lot of anti-racist content on white community in the white atheist community. I really don't. I'm just being honest.
Bingo.
Yeah. Bingo. And I don't know if that's because of.
I ain't blaming. I'm just saying. So you have to understand. You have to
harmony, or
but you have to understand why I'm coming now. I'm coming and why I'm asking what I'm asking.
I do.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. Where I'm at is the community needs to do better to address racism and support people of color and content creators of color, right? But it's also really important as content creators of color that we become, in my opinion, the most outspoken vocal advocates for our trans family members too. Because look, here's the deal. Like,
no, go ahead.
Right, we have the narrative that isn't their story, but we know what it's like to be marginalized. We know what it's like to be humanized, and we gotta have their back. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. We need to have their back. We need to be the outspoken when it's against anti-Semites or LGBTQ for sure. But I mean,
we need our moment.
Let's not jump out the window for them. We wouldn't even do that for ourselves.
Come
on, man.
That's a valid point. Yeah. No, it's a valid point. And I think that was also a problem in my conversation with Robert Price on Neil's channel.
Right.
Because we did go in on his anti-trans position,
right.
But you know why a lot of got Chrissy a lot of shine, but then we didn't really spend quality time talking about his racial comments as much as we did his anti-trans comments, and
but then again, like I said, outside looking in, then you find you find out some of them could be personal, because some personal relationships in some mainline atheism spaces that personal reasons why the LGBT community is I don't know, in the front line now, more than because there's more personal relationships that I've seen with them mingled with, instead of so many personal relationships that they have. I see them with black folks or in the interracial relationships.
Well, I think what's going on right now is in the moment we're in.
Or they're mimicking society.
I think what we're trying to do is, I think we're trying to reflect the current political conversation. And unfortunately, when you deal with right-wing violence on the aspects of racism, we're having the conversation around Black Lives Matter, and we're having the conversation around the murdering of Black people, right? But in day-to-day life, and it's not because of anything we've done right, but it's more that there's been a surge in anti-trans rhetoric. So I think for a lot of people, there's, right or wrong, a sort of perceived harmony to where it's like most people aren't racist, and it's not okay to be racist right now. And
hold on. I'm gonna pause right there. You said most people are not racist.
I think that's the perception. Yeah, I think that's the perception.
Okay, my bad.
The perception is that,
okay, yeah.
By and large, at least in like speaking from as an American,
I get you
that we're 90 to 95% on board with it's not okay to discriminate against Black people. And so for some reason, Black people make up a small percentage of the population, but we feel like support for Black people is almost ubiquitous. It's not really true, but there's a perception of that. In other words, it's not okay in America to openly and blatantly discriminate against Black people. It kind of is. You can get away with it in a lot of spaces, especially if you do a lot of dog whistling, right? But out and out, let's deny healthcare to Black people. So you just can't say shit like that.
Right.
The problem is right now, the flip side of that is it seems like the anti-trans rhetoric is growing. It's becoming more commonplace. It's becoming more weaponized. It's becoming more violent. It's becoming more dangerous. So I think that's why some of that feeling is there's a different sense of urgency there. But that doesn't mean I disagree with you. I'm just being charitable as to why I think some of us are feeling that urgency right now.
Okay. Yeah, but and I agree a lot with what you're saying. But do you think that the perception is like you said? So I think I understand that you believe that the perception is that okay, people will automatically, they hear something racial, they'll automatically defend that. The common folk, whatever, will defend that quicker than they would against some like some anti-transgender rhetoric or something like that. You think it's more?
I think that's how we see it. Yeah.
You think so?
I think that's how people see it. But you're absolutely right about what the unintended consequence is. Because for a lot of us, we're new to this space. We've only been doing this maybe in the last couple of years, right? And so what we're seeing then is, okay, George Floyd, y'all will say something. Okay, a couple years later, maybe if there's a murder, okay, maybe y'all will say something. But for the most part, we're not hearing a lot, but we're seeing, for the most part, our community every day, we're like, stop with the trans stuff, stop with the trans stuff, stop with the trans stuff. So we're supporting our anti-trans community like every day. But then it's like, are we ever going to talk about racism?
But guess what? The Real Nordic Black family and Pocketlocker86 family, for the first time, I'm going to bring on and I'm going to interview. You just reminded me of something. I got a brother on my Facebook, Black gay guy named Bob Darty.
Okay.
If you're watching in the building, he actually, I remember, sent me a message talking about how I need to, talk about racism within the gay community, because it's rampant. Sometimes he out of his opinion, they can be worse than the heterosexual and stuff like that. And I want to hear his opinion. And there's some sharp brothers. There's some sharp gay brothers too. And so I haven't brought them on yet, but I would love to bring them on. Actually, if I do interview them, I would love, maybe possibly have you as the co-host on that one.
Yeah. Let me know. I'm down. Yeah, let me know. I have a question. I have a trans friend who,
because he's the one that wants to talk about these racial issues within the gay community.
I think that's a great idea.
He brought that out. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna get back with my man.
So I have a friend named Stephanie Helms who speaks to trans issues way better than I do. If I set you up, would you be willing to interview Stephanie?
Absolutely. I
think that would be great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
No doubt about that.
I'll make sure we connect.
No doubt about
that.
That's awesome. No doubt. Actually, I was going to in the past interview a transgender person. Actually, have a whole platform and do some things with that. But I didn't come around to do it. But
Sure,
I would
sure.
love to do that
That'd be
for
awesome.
sure.
Appreciate that.
But
Thank
yes,
you.
so we've been on for a couple of hours, a lot longer.
Man, it's been fun. I really have enjoyed this conversation, and
right.
I'm
Oh yeah,
glad to meet
can
you.
you
Go ahead.
all your links and everything? Because you're not only
Pocket Locker
you're a jack of
86.
all trades.
Easy to find me on YouTube. I'm also on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter. But everything's at Pocket Locker 86. And I think if you put
my man got his own website too, so go check it out.
Yeah, you got it in the title. You could actually just add the @ symbol right there in the title, and that'll let people do it. Or maybe you can drop the link for people in the chat. But yeah, come over, subscribe to Pocket Locker 86. We really appreciate it.
Click a like, subscribe to my man's channel, Pocket Locker 86 for sure. And also like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet. But I appreciate you, my man. Until next time, I will definitely hit you up whenever we have whenever I decide to have the like I told you, the black gay either group or person to come and to talk about these issues, and you can pop in there.
Yeah, man. And let's get the coalition together, because I think we can all support all marginalized populations together, baby. Let's do it.
For sure. Let them know when those white spaces about me too, man. I pop in a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you.
All right, my brother. Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah.